Hey guys, I'm Nicole here at DIY, and today I'm going to show you how I turned this plain but beautiful shaped cabinet into a statement piece of a bone inlay look cabinet. Alright, now I got this piece free on Facebook Marketplace, and this is what I want to turn it into. It's almost $4,000 in Australian dollars, but it's just so pretty. I love it. Now this is what traditional bone inlay looks like close up. It's actually made from real bone. They grind it on a little machine and then they do like a mortar layer over the top so it's nice and smooth. You can see why it is such a expensive product because they do put a lot of work into this. There are lots of different styles and colors in bone inlay furniture, and they can either be a statement piece on their own or add to a beautiful eclectic design style. Now, the star of the show is going to be my brand new Cricut Maker. So I'm going to use this to design and cut my own stencils to stencil on all the patterns. So I was actually going to do this all by hand, but Cricut actually reached out to me and asked if I had any projects coming up where I might need a Cricut Maker. So yeah, I thought, instead of having to hand stencil everything, why not just use this? They actually have proper rolls of stencil media. It means that I can custom make my own stencils to fit everywhere I need to on the piece. And instead of sort of having to order some stencils online and have to try and make them work to fit with the dimensions of my piece. Now I can also actually design my stencils in Cricut's Design Space software, and I don't need a huge amount of knowledge about using their software. It is literally super simple, anyone can do it. They have thousands and thousands of shapes and designs that you can kind of bring in and pull together and create your own stencils without having to draw a thing. So that is really cool. I'm so excited. It'll be my first time using it, so I'll be giving you a little review of how I like it, how the software works, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. Let's measure up exactly all of our drawers, doors, the top, sides for my stencilings. Alright, let's talk about making our design. If you want to skip this and you want to go straight to the stenciling, I have chapters in this video, so you can skip to any point at any time. Also, if I'm talking too slowly or if there's too much information, you can speed me up, put me at 1.5 or 2 times speed. Or if I'm talking too fast, you can slow me down a little bit and you can pause, go back. But don't be afraid to skip to different chapters if you're don't want to learn this particular bit. You can go to how I painted the stenciling on. Okay, so here is one example of the sort of traditional bone inlay look. So you can see we've got some swirls of leaves, and then we've got some dash and dots along here. We've got some more leaves, and this one has flowers. I don't particularly love the flowers that much, but so I've got another couple of examples. Now this one help me kind of see a little bit more of a simple design. So you can see it has one swirl going this way, another swirl that connects going this way, and then another swirl that connects going this way. And then we've also got some little branches that sort of come out and fill in that sort of rectangle. And then we've got our little sort of diamond plus shapes around the outside. And here's just a little bit of a closer look. This one's actually mother of pearl, which is a little bit of my inspiration. So it's kind of, it's bone / mother of pearl, but just like a little bit sparkly rather than actual bone or mother of pearl, because I tried to paint this and I couldn't do it. Okay, here we are in Cricut Design Space, and this is the first design that I created for the stenciling. So this is the drawer front. Now this is made up of some rectangles, this leaf, and this, which is actually 4 diamonds. So let me show you how I turned these into this. Okay, so to find this particular leaf, I'm going to give you the exact code number of this leaf. Over here, I'm going to right click, and this is the number that you need to know. I'm going to put this down in the description below this video, so just click the little arrow below the video to open the description, and you will see this so you can copy and paste this into Cricut Design Space. So When you go into images, what you want to do is paste this number that I've given you and press search. Okay, and that will give you this exact image. There's also loads of other designs. If you don't like this one, you can just type in the word leaf and all these beautiful different designs will come up and you can choose anything that you like. That's the great thing about Cricut's Design Space. There's lots of stuff in there already for you. Now, rather than give you a 3-hour tutorial showing you exactly how I created each of the individual designs for the cabinet, I'm just going to give you a really fast overview and show you how I sort of put together the components. So basically I just did some swirls with these leaves, and then I utilized these swirls as the central design for all of my faces of my cabinet. So for the drawer faces, you can see I flipped and turned my swirls, and I did 3 all the way across, and then I actually squished them a little bit, and then I added in some extra leaves just to fill in any blank spaces. Then for the border of these little sort of plus diamond things, it's just basically 4 rounded edge diamonds together, and then copy and paste them to go the length that you need them to, and you can distribute them evenly. Now for the doors of the cabinet and also the sides of the cabinet, I created this shape. So I actually just used my swirls and mirrored them against each other. So you can see there's 2 swirls at the top and 2 swirls at the bottom, and they mirror each other. I also put a little flower in the middle, and this is just basically 6 ovals with some lines through the center. I then utilized several of this design to do my full top piece of the cabinet. So you can see I've got 4 of that exact sort of door/side design, and then I've also added an extra border on the top because I wanted it just to look a little bit different and give a little bit of extra impact on that top space. And the last little design that I did was just some dash and dot strips, and this just goes along all of the edging of the piece wherever there's a blank space. Okay, now that that design part is done, it is time to prep our furniture. So I just took off all of the hardware, including the doors and any handles and things. And this was a varnished piece of furniture. So you might have something that's already pre-painted. Basically, you just want to give it a light sand so that the primer will then stick to that roughened up surface. I just used my Azedo orbital sander, but you can just use sandpaper if you like, and obviously just use hand sandpaper to get into all those little nooks and crannies that you can't get into with your sander. I wiped down my piece just with some alcohol to get all the dust off, and then it was time to prime. You'll only need to prime if your piece of furniture isn't already painted. Then it was time for top coat, and I just chose a nice light beige color. All right, now let's get these stencils ready. Okay, here is my first full page ever cut. So let's sit here and weed out all the pieces that we want to stencil. If you've never used a Cricut before, it's basically a cutting machine, but you can cut through all sorts of different media. You can also use different tools in there, so like a pen, a scoring wheel, an engraver, and even a debosser. So these types of tools mean that you can cut a variety of things. So there's all sorts of different vinyls that you can use. You can cut paper, you can cut cardstock, you can cut fabric, you can cut leather, you can even cut balsa wood. So you can make so many different things, from stencils to t-shirt transfers, wall decals, cute mugs and wine glasses, cards, paper flowers, leather crafts, cake toppers, quilts, dolls' clothes, stamps, pantry labels, and even Christmas decorations. But these are just a few of the different things you can make because it's only limited by your imagination. Thank you for listening to that promo, and now back to our regular program. Okay, so with stenciling, what I found was that the transfer tape was just a little bit too sticky and it was peeling little flecks of my paint off. So I was given a tip that you can use microfiber cloth to take a little bit of the tackiness off just by laying them over the top a few times and dragging them off, and then using your transfer tape. To line up all of my pieces on their individual faces, I used some painter's tape just to give myself the little border that I was allowing on each piece. Now when peeling the backing paper off, just take your time. If any little bits get stuck, just press them back down. And you don't want to burnish stenciling on, just wipe it over gently with your hands or a microfiber cloth, and then peel off your transfer tape really nice and slowly. If a few little pieces of paint come off, do not worry because you can touch them up later. Now I did 2 coats of white matte acrylic paint for my stenciling, and I also added a top layer using a iridescent varnish mixed with some macro pearl pigment. Now this is optional. I just wanted to give like a little bit of an iridescent sheen to the actual stenciling part, and I found it helpful to use a torch when I was adding that layer of the iridescent sheen, just to sort of see where I needed to actually still paint because this was a clear substance. I let my 2 coats of white dry in between, and then after I did my iridescent layer, I immediately pulled off the stenciling and did not allow that iridescent layer to dry. Otherwise it sort of tends to like peel a bit of that iridescent layer with it. So as soon as you've done the iridescent, pull off the stencil. I also found my torch really helpful when I was weeding the stencil off my painted piece. And it did take a while sometimes, but I love to listen to podcasts. So that's what I did when I had to do sort of lots of weeding or like pulling the stencil off the painted piece. I love listening to my favorite murder. Drop a comment below if you're a murderino as well, or tell me what you're listening to. So here is how the very first stencil that I pulled off looks. So you can see that I'd waited a little bit and let the iridescent layer dry. So it's kind of peeled up the edges a little bit. That is okay though, because I'm putting a matte protective layer over the top of this, so that will all stick down. You can see that there's definitely some little bits that I need to clean up. Do not be scared of that. They're really easy to touch up, and I love the iridescent sheen. Alright, I wanted to show you how I did the top because it was a little bit fiddly, and you'll notice here that I've switched to a different kind of vinyl. I ran out of the stencil vinyl, but I was able to get the removable wall vinyl from Cricut. So this also is very much the same thing as the stencil vinyl. It is easy to remove from painted surfaces, so that's why this one is a bit different. Alright, what I did was I stuck all of my huge big top piece together, and I just took off the very first panel of the backing paper and stuck that bit down first. Then I rolled everything back on itself and then pulled off the entire backing paper that was left on there, and then slowly unrolled it onto the top of the cabinet. I was really proud of myself here. And again, just a reminder to gently press the stencil on rather than burnish. For the top piece, rather than stipple everything on, I decided to try a roller. It ended up turning out even better than the stippling. So if you want to use a roller, go for it. It turns out pretty well. And now I'm just going to give you a few seconds of super satisfying
You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're channeling wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly.